So, I was thinking about trying something else on here. I was thinking about doing a couple things about people astrology. That's just basically my own version of, relationship astrology. I wouldn't call it like relationships because it's not necessarily romantic relationships. It's just how people relate to one another. And I thought, in a very basic sense, there's only one thing you really need to know, and that's who to stay away from. And that's for anything, for any kind of relationship. It could be family members, it could be friends, it could be somebody you work with. So I'm talking about anybody you come into contact with, anybody who's going to be important. I mean, you can't avoid everybody. I wish we had to wear like name tags or something that had our sun sign on it, because there's a couple I would avoid definitely. But I just like to go over what I've come up with. And basically, everybody has two signs, two sun signs that you don't relate to at all. And I'm going to explain that right now. So, everybody should know their own sun sign. That's the month you were born in. Um, you know, it's usually the end of one month to the beginning of the next. Well, it's always that. But you can look up your sign if you don't know it. Because it changes every year just a little bit. So, to say it's definitely a certain day to a certain day would be wrong, and you should just look that up if you can. But most people already know, unless you're on the cusp. And if you're on the cusp, then look it up, because you're really one or the other. Um, I don't believe that there's a carryover. Once it changes, it changes. So there are plenty of astrology websites that can do your whole chart for you. If you do know your birth time, even if you don't, you just put in everything else and it'll tell you based on noon that day. But so for sun signs, the way it works is that there are three there are three signs in each element, and your sign either falls into fire, water, earth, or air. And so, according to most astrology books, they would, if they were doing a general relationship astrology books, they would tend to say that you would get along with the people in your own element. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that you're the most like those people, so you're all the same type of person. Okay, so for me, that would mean that all fire signs are the same kind of person. All earth signs are the same kind of person. And you, if you know a little bit, you probably know which those are. Um, then you have, after that, you have the modalities, the way that your signs behave. And there are four signs in each of those, and those are different than the elements. So you have the cardinal signs, and those are the ones that sort of start everything off. You have the fixed signs, and those are the ones that kind of fix, like they stay, and they call them stubborn if you want. They don't change a lot. And then you have the mutable signs, the ones that change all the time, but they're able to adapt. So whatever your element is, you have two other signs that are like you in that way. And whatever your modality is, you have three other signs that are like you in that way. And in traditional relationship astrology, they will say that fire signs and air signs are compatible, because obviously, if you want to build a fire, if you blow on it, you know what I mean? The wind will make fire spread, you know what I'm saying? So those are compatible. You want to put a fire out, you throw water on it or you throw dirt on it, okay? So in astrology, fire and air are supposed to be compatible in terms of romantic relationships or friendships or whatever. And earth and water are supposed to be relatable to each other. They're supposed to get along well, or you're supposed to marry one of those. Now, in my experience in life, I read all those books like, Love Signs, and it was just books like that when I was a kid. and I knew that I was supposed to be compatible with certain signs, and in the end, for other astrological reasons that I'm not going to cover here, one of the signs they said is a kind of person I should marry. I'm not attracted to those people at all. They're one of the signs I don't like very much, but that's for my own reasons. But when you come down to it, you have the two signs that are your same element that you're compatible with. You have the not you're compatible with, but you are like them. You have the other the modality that you're the same as, and to me that means you kind of have the same temperament. So right off the bat you can relate to 5 different signs. Then you have that other element that traditional astrology says you're supposed to be compatible with, so that's 3 more signs. Okay, so that's 8 signs. Then you have the 2 on either side of you, meaning the sign that comes right before you in a chronological year, or the sign that comes right after you. Those 2 you can relate to somewhat because the effects of their sign sort of carry over and you're used to them, and you come at the same time of year. So let's say you're a winter baby. You may be able to relate to the other people who were born and had your birthdays in the winter more than somebody who had their birthdays in the dead of summer, but you're closer to them, so you can relate to them somewhat. Okay. Now, for my purposes, and the point I'm trying to make is, to me, there are 2 signs for everybody who they have nothing in common with. They're not the same element. They're not the compatible element. They're not next to them on the birth chart. They're not of the similar modality. They're just 2 signs that you have no basis for understanding each other. And this, to me, in my experience, has caused me a lot of damage, and I feel like if I had known, maybe in life I would have just stayed away from those people. And that goes for bosses, that goes for teachers, guidance counselors, family members, anyone. It's not just about getting married and dating and things like that. It's just people who, when it comes down to it, their sun sign and your sun sign, everyone's sun sign is basically who you are. That's the meat and potatoes of who you are. You can look up all the other stuff. That may be the dessert, that may be, some other part of who you are, but it's not the meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes of who you are is your sun sign. That's your basic personality. And these other people have their basic personality. What I'm saying is, it's nearly impossible for you to understand each other. Yes, there are other astrology charts, and there are other planets that could severely influence a reading or your own personality. But in what I'm saying in this case is that if you can figure out who these 2 signs are, which is very simple, but once you know what these 2 signs are, if you look at your own life, you may say, you know what, I did have a hard time with those people. You know what, I thought they were my friend, but in the end they were jealous of me or something, because you're so different, just basically so different. Like putting pudding on a steak, you wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? You may like steak and you may like pudding, but they don't go together. So what I've determined is it's the 2 signs you have nothing to do with. Some astrology books will just say them, but I'm explaining why. Because they're the furthest away from you and they have nothing to do with you. On a traditional astrology chart, if you look at your sun sign and you look at the sign opposite that, your opposite is obviously the complete opposite of you. But generally speaking, you've heard the phrase many times, opposites attract. People who are your opposite, you tend to get along with. It's just like 2 sides of the same coin. So you may say, oh, I like that person, I get along with that person very much, and they're always in that other element that you're supposed to be compatible with. But the people I'm saying to avoid are the 2 signs that are on either side of your opposite. So when you look at the chart and you look at your birth sign, your sun sign, If you look across and you see what your opposite is, that person you'll probably be very completely different from, but you will like them. Then there's the sign before that sign and the sign after that sign. And I believe that we all will have serious problems dealing with those people. We may get along, we may be family members, we may grow up around them, they may be our parents. You may marry them because you may be attracted to them or whatever, or there be some other reason why you do end up in a relationship with these people, but it's going to be very difficult because in very basic terms, you don't understand each other, and you could try very hard, but you can know someone for 20 years and say, you know what, I don't get them. I've known them my whole life, and I don't understand why they do the things they do. I don't understand why they treated me that way. I don't understand why they treat anybody the way they do. I don't understand why they do the things they do. And you may disapprove of them. You may think they're lousy people, whatever. But I just feel like if everybody could avoid those two signs, we'd all be happier people. It's not, let's hate people. It's just, it's not even about being compatible. It's just about having a basic understanding of these people. And it's going to be very, very difficult unless the whole rest of their chart or the whole rest of your chart is somehow very, very compatible with them. So I'll give some examples. Okay, the example I'm going to use first is Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac anyway. Aries is a fire sign. It's in the end of March, the beginning of April. So anybody who has a sun sign in Aries, okay, their opposite sign is Libra. Now, even if you don't have a chart in front of you, the way you can figure out your opposite sign is what is your half birthday. And if your half birthday was your birthday, what sign would that be? So if you're in Aries, your birthday is April 1st. You add 6 months to that, right? Then you say, okay, that's October 1st. So what sign would that be? That would be Libra. Okay, so even if you don't have a chart in front, you just say, what would my half birthday be if I was that sign? That's your opposite. Like I said, you're very different from them, but you like them because, like I said, you're almost two sides of the same coin. You're just complete opposites, and they're fun to be around. Usually you get along. Okay. The signs I'm saying to avoid, in this case, if you were in Aries, your opposite is Libra. So the sign before Libra is Virgo, and after Libra is Scorpio. You want to avoid those two signs. Why? Again, my whole point is you have nothing in common with them. They're the furthest away from you. Okay, let's look at the whole chart. If you're in Aries, why would you get along with a Taurus? You're not really anything alike either, but they're right next to you. So you have some way of relating to them in that your birthdays are in the same part of the year. And there's something where, generally speaking, you get along with the signs that are close to you to a degree. Like I said, you're not like them either. Next, why would Aries get along with Gemini? Gemini is an air sign. Aries is a fire sign. Fire and air are supposed to be compatible. Why would Aries get along with a Cancer? Because a Cancer is a water sign. Water and fire don't go. I'm not saying they get along. However, Aries is a cardinal sign and Cancer is a cardinal sign. So they have something in common. They both are initiators. They both have the same way of behavior. Why would Aries get along with Leo? Leo's another fire sign. Remember, fire signs should all get along to some degree because their basic stuff is the same. Their basic nature is the same. They're all made of fire. Virgo, this is what I'm saying. Virgo, they have nothing to do with them. They're not compatible signs. They're not the same modality. They're not next to each other. Okay, then you have Libra, the opposite, also an air sign. They should get along. I'm not saying this goes 100% all the time, but generally speaking, Aries and Libra, being complete opposites, should get along to some degree. Scorpio. Alright, Scorpio is a water sign. Aries is a fire sign. There's no reason these people should get along anyway. Also, they're very far apart from each other, and they have nothing in common. Scorpio is, they're a fixed sign. So Aries is a cardinal sign, Scorpio is a fixed sign. They're not the same element, they're not compatible elements, and they're also not the same modality. Should Aries get along with Sagittarius? Yes, they should. Another fire sign. Should Aries get along with Capricorn? To some degree. They're the same modality again. Aries and Capricorn are both cardinal signs. Should Aries get along with Aquarius? To some degree, because they are compatible elements. Aries is fire, Aquarius is air. Pisces is right before Aries, so being close to each other, they have something that they can relate to each other. So this is my point. It's all about, can you relate to this person? Can you understand them on any level? So the only two that they have nothing to do with and they're not close to at all is Virgo and Scorpio. So I'm predicting, and you could tell me I'm wrong, that's fine, go ahead and do that. But for the most part, you can marry them, you could be attracted to them, you can have babies with them, you can be with them for a long time, you could be business workers or whatever. But in terms of understanding them, approving of their behavior, getting them, do I get this person? Do I understand why they do the things they do? No, I don't think that's going to happen. You may be a strange person who likes that sort of thing, or there may be other things in your chart that make you attracted to them, need them in certain ways, depend on them for certain things, but generally speaking, if you can avoid those two signs, Virgo and Scorpio, if you're in Aries, I believe your life will be more peaceful and more harmonious, and you won't have as much drama and just misunderstandings and just a hard time. Your life will be easier. Okay? That's the first example. Okay, so for my next example, I'm going to use Virgo. You can see I flipped the chart over, and in that way, Libra and Aries are still opposite. As you can see, the chart just turned 180 degrees. So let's use Virgo. So Virgo is an earth sign, and it is also a mutable sign. So Virgo's opposite is Pisces. Pisces is a water sign, but it is also a mutable sign. They are opposites. They should get along to some degree. Maybe they're not compatible at all. I wouldn't think that they were. A Virgo should be very neat. A Pisces should be a mess. They should be very different. Virgo should be very, I don't know, they're supposed to be very prude-like, which I don't necessarily think that's the case. Pisces are supposed to be more hedonistic, which is the case. But from my experience, there's all kinds of people and all kinds of stripes in this world. Everybody's a special snowflake. However, Virgo and Pisces are opposites in this case. So what sign is before the opposite of Virgo? That is Aquarius. What sign is after the opposite of Virgo? That is Aries. So generally speaking, by my example, a Virgo would not really be in good relationships of any kind with Aries people or Aquarius people. Now, let's do this again. Okay, so Libra is right after Virgo. They should get along somewhat. Scorpio is a water sign. Virgo is an earth sign. Water and earth are supposed to be compatible. Virgo and Sagittarius are both mutable signs. So in that way, having the same kind of temperament, the way their behavior, their ability to change and be mutable all the time, and to adapt to everything should make them compatible in that way. Capricorn is another earth sign. Virgo is an earth sign, so they should understand each other well, even if they don't like each other. Aquarius, like I said, no. Aquarius is air. It's all the way over there. They don't have anything in common. They're not the same modality. Pisces is their opposite. Again, they should like each other. Aries, fire. Virgo, earth. They should not get along in that way. They are also not similar modalities. They're way over there. They shouldn't have anything in common. Taurus, Virgo, and Taurus are both earth signs. They should get along to the degree that they understand each other. Everybody's not going to get along. Everybody's not going to be attracted to each other. But they're the same element. Gemini is the other mutable sign. So again, just like Sagittarius, they should get along in that they have the same kind of temperament. Cancer is a water sign. Virgo and Cancer should get along because Cancer is water, Virgo being earth. Those two are supposed to be compatible. I'm not saying they're going to like each other. I'm just saying they have more to relate to each other than Virgo does with Aries or Aquarius. Leo comes right before Virgo. They're very different, but being that they're next to each other, they have some relatability. Okay? I'll probably do one more example. Okay, for right now, I'm going to explain my own two signs that I think are a problem for me. I know they're a problem for me, one of them in particular, and this is how I've come to learn this over, 4+ decades on this earth, and being aware of people's sun signs as I related to them and didn't relate to them. So, my sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius' opposite is Gemini. I've known many Geminis. They're usually very entertaining to me. We get along, but we're not alike. We're both, to some degree, people. We would be fun at parties, but we're just totally different. But they don't bother me. I've always gotten along with them in a very general sense. I can't think of any Gemini that I really couldn't stand. It's just, basic compatibility, even though we're not, like I said, we're two sides of the same coin, you know what I mean? So on either side of Gemini, before Gemini, we have Cancer. Cancer is a sign that I've had such problems with in life over and over and over again, that this is what causes me to really wish that, I don't know, I mean, if we had to have a tattoo of the glyph, the symbol of our astrology signs, so that you could see who you're dealing with, and you could go to the doctor's office and meet a new doctor and see, oh God, that's a Cancer, let me get out of here. Oh no, that lawyer is a Cancer, let me walk right back out this door, because I already know that not only am I not compatible with Cancers, they have been the people in my life who have ruined my life. They don't need to know me very well. They don't need to have an opinion of me. They just come in and they don't understand me. They don't like me. I don't like them. We have no common ground. To take advice from them or to have them play an important role in my life would be very, very detrimental. And I know that, and if there's one sign I could just never meet any of them again, it would be Cancer. Taurus is on the other side. They come after Gemini. Oh no, what am I saying? They come before Gemini. But yeah, I got that mixed up. But I've had not as many problems with them as Cancer, but I don't understand them. I don't think they understand me. In this case, it may be more that Tauruses dislike me. The way I dislike Cancers. There's like a jealousy thing, I think, that goes between me and that sign. Sometimes you have certain personality traits, and or you're missing some, and you wish that you were able to do things, or you wish you could be the kind of jerk that person is because they get away with it or whatever. But in the case of Tauruses, like I said, they haven't been as bad for me, but they have certain traits of trying to be domineering, or trying to be controlling, and trying to, which Cancer does it as well, they just do it in different ways. Tauruses being bulls, they will physically restrain you, stop you from leaving. Cancers will smother you to death. It's very much a control issue, and Sagittarius are known to need to be free spirits. You can see how controlling, domineering, tyrannical, dictator type people would not be somebody that you can be involved in. I'll give an example. Pretend, and this is not happening to me, but let's say that you had a Sagittarius person and a Taurus person, and they were married or dating, and the Sagittarius person was like, okay, I want to break up now, and the Taurus person was like, I don't want to break up. The Taurus person may physically try to stop you. They may do things to force you to not leave. And this would be the worst thing in the world for a free spirit type individual. So this is one of those types of obvious reasons why two signs shouldn't even start. They shouldn't even get together in the first place. They may find each other attractive, you know what I mean? They may, have fun together at parties, or like to go on, they may have compatible things, like they like to take long walks on the beach or God knows what. But when you really get down to it, you have to say what's the most important thing. And when your most important thing is not compatible in any way, you have to say, I better not start this because I might not be able to get out of it. So you have a situation with signs like that where it's too much of a difference. And when incompatible people get like it, it's not just like, oh no, that didn't work out. It's like, this relationship did a lot of damage. This relationship ruined my life. This relationship, I had to kill them and I ended up in prison. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So if you can avoid the kind of people who, and I'm not saying, of course, there's always going to be those rare couples where two people, they were together and there was some other thing, somebody's Venus sat on top of somebody else's Mars. I'm not talking about that stuff, because those are the kind of things that'll get people married and everything. But probably on their deathbed you'll find out it was really awful. But, people want to work things out. People want to try hard, and you can do that. But I'm saying you may end up married to somebody for 50 years and on your deathbed say, you know what, I never understood him. You know what? Or like in that movie, that Woody Allen movie, where the lady finds out that her husband had murdered and ate people and she had no idea. You may come to that one day. So when you can't fundamentally understand somebody, maybe you can love them very much in a romantic way. Maybe you can really want to be with them, or you got into a relationship and now you're together because of some kind of codependent common need. I'm not trying to condemn anybody. It's just that you're probably better off steering clear of people who you can end up with in these detrimental relationships with in the first place. And it just be easier. But if you want to just go and try whatever and give it a shot, go ahead. I'm not ever telling anybody what to do. It's just from my experience. The ones you should stay clear of are these people who your sign is what they call inconjunct, or at a quincunx angle to your own sun sign. And those are the two that are opposite that are on either side of your opposite sun sign. So in my case, I feel like I've had enough experience that it really plays out this way, because it's just, you don't understand them, you don't get them, you're like, what are they on? Are they high? Are they crazy? They're a psycho. I wish I never met them. And it ends up being that way for many people. Not one, oh, there's that one person. No. I know specifically for me with Cancer, it's definitely that way. Like I said, Taurus, it's not nearly as bad. but still I foresee a situation where you end up in a long-term relationship of some kind with a Taurus, and then it ends up being bad. They're trying to break that relationship up. That's when it would become an issue. So the only other thing I like to show is how, just to show that it's not the same for the opposites. The opposite signs don't have the same two that they're supposed to avoid. Okay, so in this example you have Aquarius, and when Aquarius is opposite Leo, the signs that Aquarius should stay away from are Cancer and Virgo, right? But the opposite is different, because when it's Leo and you're looking for who Leo should avoid, Leo's opposite is Aquarius. So Leo should avoid Capricorn and Pisces. And you just do that all the way around the zodiac for any sign. Like I said, you look at the opposite, and then you try to avoid the ones on either side. Like I said, it's not about people being bad people or good people. It's just you're not going to understand them. They're not going to understand you. There may be jealousy. There may be just people who mean well, but give you bad advice and steer you the wrong way, or help you into your grave, because they can't. You're just dealing with totally different attitudes, and just everything about you is different, So they can end up being toxic people in your life, even if they are not personally toxic, if they're not bad. It's just that it's very difficult. So, as long as you don't have them as important people in your life, people who are going to make a difference in your life, it may be alright. But if you're unlucky and you really need to just have people around you who are going to help you and be on your side and understand you, it'd be best to steer clear of whoever those two signs are for your particular sun sign. I think I may do some more videos like this. Not really too specific. Again, I'm going based on my own experience. I've been reading astrology books for years, and it's not going to be any kind of predictive astrology. I don't even think you can predict the weather, so I would never try to predict anything. If I do another one, it'll be just another one about people, astrology, and how certain signs are. Okay, and if you like this video, give it a like. If not, give it a thumbs down. I will read any comments that you put in, and thank you for watching and listening. Okay, bye-bye.